Hello and welcome to the Friendly Show. I am your host and friend, Leigh. Okay, so I am so excited to be here with you guys. As you know, Wednesday nights are my favorite recording because that means that we are going to be just having conversation together. Pretend that you're in my living room and or on a walk, and we're just talking about different topics. So whatever you want to talk about, you can go ahead and make the comment, and I will bring it up on the screen. And until you start doing that, because I know it'll take a couple minutes for you guys to come on. Before you guys come up with what you want to talk about, I'll come up with a few things that I've had on my mind. So, okay, here we go. Ed here in your living room. Hey, hey. Thank you for being here, Ed. So, if there's anything on your mind that you want to talk about, any topics, the floor is yours. Um, for me, some of the things that I wanted to talk about in the description, I had said the things that I wanted to discuss tonight were grief, something that I've been dealing with. It seems like a lot. 2024 has been a rough year when it comes to that. So I wanted to maybe touch on that. I also, it's a brand new month coming up. So Friday is going to be March 1st. If you're listening to this in the replay, who knows what month it is, but for right now, if you're listening to this live, Friday is going to be a brand new month. So how do you kind of plan for your month? Do you have a way that you plan for your month, or just every day just roll into the other? How do you figure out what's really important to you? How do you know what to focus on? So I thought we could maybe talk about that. And then recently, just in the last hour, I was watching a video and I wanted to bring up something that I learned that I think is really, really cool. And I want to share that with you. So we will do that. Uh, for right now, I did want to say hello to everybody listening in First Day Pod. So we are streaming over there. And even though this is the First Day Pod colors, you are listening to the Friendly Show. I was really hoping to be able to have like a background, but for some reason it's just not working for me. So, oh well. Anyway, so the thing that, oh, there we go. Hey, Kelly. Hello, hello. Okay, so the thing that I was listening to today, I was listening to Stephen Bartlett. I don't know if you guys know of him. He has a show called The Diary of a CEO. And I've listened to him for quite a long time. I absolutely love him. He's English. He's just got this really like sweet accent and he is brilliant. And he was on a show. I don't know when they recorded this, but I saw it for the first time today with Mel Robbins. And they were talking about a daily habit that he does, that he has done for the last 6 or 7 years, and he has not stopped because he thinks that it is like a huge hack to self-awareness, and he has grown so much, by doing this, and I just thought it was fascinating. So, I wanted to share it with you guys, and I am gonna start doing this every day, and that is gonna be I'm gonna try just for March. Will I do it for the next 6 or 7 years? Maybe, I don't know, but I'm just gonna try it for March, and, here's what it is. So he has this it's self-introspection that he does every single day, and what he suggests is that you start your own, separate Instagram account or Twitter account, or you can do it if you already have, one. You don't have to start a new one, but the whole reason for this is for every day for you to keep a note section in your phone or if you have a notebook or whatever. And when you have a feeling that comes up or you experience something that creates a feeling in your body, you write it down. So whether you had an argument with your spouse or, somebody cut you off in the middle of the road and then you got this feeling that came up, whatever it is, write it in the note section. And then pick a time at night, whether it's 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night, pick a time that you're going to commit to writing a post about that feeling. And what he recommends is that you think about what that feeling was and then Why do you think it happened? Why did you have that feeling? What was the feeling like? And distill down that experience to a summary that is just enough to go into a Twitter post. So when he started it, it was 140 characters. Now I believe it's 280 characters. But distilling that down into that small of a summary. And so it really gets you to thinking about that event. How did it make you feel? What was the experience? How did it make you feel? And where do you think it came from? Or even if you don't know where it came from, just explain that experience, and then you share it with the world. And so at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night, whatever time you choose, you do that, and you just do that every single day. And he has been, I think he is one of the wisest men. He's only like he's early 30s, but he is so smart. And he said that he gets that a lot. And the reason why he thinks that people see that is because he has done a level of introspection and he has a level of self awareness that most people don't have because he has been doing this every single day for years. So I'm going to be trying that, and I invite you to try it with me. I just think it's going to be a really, really cool experiment. And you guys know, if you guys have been, listening to this show or watching this show, you know that I'm all about experiments because life is hard. And if we're going to put on all these things like, I'm going to do this thing, um, it's hard to choose what the right thing is. But if we look at it like an experiment, then we get to try it for a few weeks or try it for a month, see if it works for you. Perfect example is I've been doing cold showers for years and years and years, and I know it to work. And the reason why I started it was because not because it was popular, but because I had a very severe allergic reaction to penicillin, and it scared me because there is no antibiotic that I can have without having to have an EpiPen right next to me. And so I started deep diving into how to boost your immune system. And that was one of the ways of boosting your immune system. So I started doing it, and I do it at the end of my shower. So I take a nice warm shower, and then for the last 90 seconds, I do a cold shower. Well, a friend of mine, he started doing it and he was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm up to like 3 minutes," or he might even be up to 5 minutes now. Anyway, I was like, "Oh, that sounds really cool. I'll try it." And I tried it a few times. I really didn't like it. I felt like after 90 seconds for me, and I'm just speaking for me, it was like it was really not only uncomfortable, but like it hurt. And it was like putting me into this like really stressed out feeling. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted to spark my immune system. I wanted to shock it, but I didn't want to feel that uncomfortable. So I did it as an experiment and I tried it. When you try something once, that's not really a good indication if it works for you because it's like trying anything new is hard. So, but I did try it for about a week, I think, maybe 4 or 5 days. And then I was like, this is just not for me. So then I also tried doing it at the very beginning because I heard Andrew Huberman, he goes into his cold plunges first and then showers. So I tried that. And I tried that for about 2 weeks because I was like, well, if Andrew Huberman's doing it, then it must be something. It just wasn't good for me. It didn't feel comfortable. And still to this day, even though I've been doing cold showers for years, it's still not comfortable. It still scares me. They say do something that scares you every day. That's it for me. Um, but it's not, I know that it's not hurting my body. And the other two ways I felt hurt my body, but I experimented with it. So I suggest that if you think that this, introspection kind of thing sounds cool and it's something that you want to try it and just see. So let us go because there are some comments here. So now we are going to be able to get into um, some really cool things. Okay, so I'm guessing that this might be Ed, but it's a Facebook user. So hello. If you are listening to this in Facebook and you do not have, if you're in the replay, that's totally fine. I'll be able to see it. But if you're watching it live, please put your name so then I know who it is. But Facebook user says, have you ever tried rotating hot and cold showers? It's great for the muscles, skin, and vitality. So you mean like one day doing cold and then one day doing hot? or doing hot and cold back and forth while you're doing one shower. I'd be curious how that is. Um, okay. And then Ed says the last two messages are mine. Okay. So here we go. So grief prioritization sounds good. Grief is too depressing. Uh, how to prioritize how life sounds selfish. How to prioritize how life sounds selfishly important to me now, especially considering my new challenge. Okay. And then he also says, can I also share that I am very impressed with Kelly R. the more I get to know her? I learned so much about resilience from both of you. Oh, that's so amazing, Ed. Yes, Kelly is like, she's incredible. You can absolutely share that all day long. Ed says hot, cold, etc. in one shower. I have not tried that, and I will consider that. That'll be my next experiment, and then I'll let you know how I did. Um, because if it was hot one day and then cold the other, I would say no, because TMI, I can't, I need to, like, I always shave my legs and whatever. So shave my legs and shave my underarms, just for all of you guys to know. But when I take a cold shower, I am so freezing that I can't even do that. So I would not do a full cold shower, but doing it hot and cold, that sounds really interesting. I will try that. It is magic. If nobody has ever done a cold shower, there's a lot of people that are saying, that it's like it's a hype that you shouldn't be doing. Um, but for me, I know that like I used to be sick all the time. Like flu season came, Leanne got sick. Sinus season came, I got sick. Anybody came into my bubble, I got sick. And knock on wood, I have been doing really good. And I think it has to do with that. I think it has to do with I've been getting my sleep. I've been prioritizing that. I've been prioritizing my water. Like I've been doing all of these like little things that really we should be doing, but we just negate. And I've been doing those consistently now. And I've been feeling really, really good. And then Ed says, shaving is important. Yes, it is. Okay. So, prioritizing how okay, so figuring out Ed, you can well, if you want to, you can share your story because your story was really, really cool. So, um, figuring out what is important to us, it's hard. Um, no, it's not really hard. It is something that we are not used to doing. I think that's what the whole thing is. I think prioritizing ourselves, prioritizing a peaceful life or a happy life or whatever is important to you, um, that is not something that we've been taught. That's not something that we all do. Um, and so that's why it feels hard because it feels different. Um, but it's actually not too hard. Um, life for me, I'm realizing the older I'm getting, is really simple if we just really take time to get quiet and figure out what we want. So, me being here, you can't tell because I have just a green screen here, but I'm actually with Mike this week. And I'm working every day and I work, 8, 10 hours a day. But I made it a priority that this week I was going to go to Mike's and I was going to spend the entire week with him because we keep talking about how we don't get to see each other, that we only get to see each other on the weekends. And sometimes even then we don't get to see each other. And it was becoming like this thing that was just like, oh, yeah, it's sad, but one day we'll be able to spend more time together. And then I just thought, I was like, "Mike, what the heck are we doing?" Like, I run my own business so I can do things that I want to do, and I'm gonna just come over. So, I decided this, I think 2 weeks ago, and so last week, I just got all my ducks in a row. I got all my client meetings, scheduled for that week, and then next week, I'll have client meetings, like, in person next week. And this week, I made all of the client meetings that I had on Zoom, well, Google Meet. And I just made it work because it was important to me. And I had kept saying that, oh, it was hard. It was hard. We're not able to. But it's just not true. We just weren't making an effort, you know? So, I think figuring out what is important to us is the first thing that we have to do is where are our values and what lights us up, and then figuring out how do we make life align with what that is. And it might not be something that we can just like flick a switch. Like I couldn't, when I decided that 2 weeks ago, I couldn't just be like, okay, I'm going and I'm leaving, and I'm going to be away from work for a week. I couldn't do it because I had, well, that's actually not true. I probably could have rescheduled, but I already had client meetings and events and things scheduled in person for that coming week. So I just decided, okay, I'm just going to do those. And then I'm going to schedule a week that I'm away, and it's possible. So Ed says, only need a minute or two. Okay, so we're back to the showers. So if you are listening to this in the audio version, get your butt over to YouTube or to Facebook or Twitch on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. because it's going to be a lot easier for you to listen to these episodes live, because we do kind of squirrel and go back and forth, which is what would be happening if we were just having a conversation in my living room. So Ed says you only need a minute or two of cold in between the hot, especially with shaving. Warm opens the pores and cold closes the pores. So cold prevents loss of essential oils during the shower. Another thing I did not know. I've been doing this for literally years, and I never put two and two together. And so maybe that's also why it's been really helpful for me to do it at the end too, as opposed to the beginning. I just didn't feel the same when I ended with a hot shower as opposed to a cold shower. So thank you so much, Ed. Um, so Facebook user says identifying the first step to take is key to taking action. Yes. And it never has to be a really big step. It's just that first next best step, right? So I don't know if that was Ed or Kelly or who said that, but absolutely. That's the first thing. Figuring out, I actually think so, yes, figuring out the first step is key, but figuring out what you want, like, and I was having a conversation with a friend of mine today, and she's embarking on a really cool new adventure in her life. And I'm just so proud of her because she's just like, she's kind of just going for it. And oh, that was Sam. Hey, Sam. So, so this friend was she's just going for it, and she's really excited, and she's been telling me step by step as she's been doing these things, and it's been really cool to watch her. And today she messaged me and she was having a really hard time, and she's like, what if, and here's the thing, if any of your thoughts, and I should have told her this and I didn't, but I'll have to tell her later, if you say what if, immediately just ignore yourself and just be like, no, we don't, it doesn't matter what if. So when we say what if, it never usually follows what if this works out to be the best decision of my life. Like we never say those kinds of things. Well, maybe you do, and I hope you do. If you're listening to this, please tell me if that's how you think. But usually we're like, what if this doesn't work out? What if, I can't keep up with what I said I was going to do? What if, this just doesn't, it makes people upset? What if, whatever? Um, Whenever we have those things, they're usually lies. They're usually our fears of not feeling good enough or not feeling worthy enough. And so taking the next step, it erases all of that doubt, because when we're in action, it's a really hard thing to be in action and also be in doubt in that exact same time. You can take action and then doubt yourself, you know? You can doubt yourself and then get over it and then take action. But to do those simultaneously is really, really hard. Like you can't, kind of like you can't smile and feel sad at the same time. I can smile and then I can feel sad. But it's really hard for our brain to be able to do those two things. That's why multitasking is actually, some people say that they can do it, but what's actually happening is you're um, toggling between two actions very quickly, maybe that it seems like you're doing it at the same time. But in any given moment, like in that little millisecond, you're only feeling one feeling, thinking one thought, doing one action. And so if the more that we can stay in action, the the more we can stay out of our head and out of our doubt and out of our fear, you know? So action, that first step, Sam, that is gold. That's absolutely gold, is taking that first action. Um, and thinking about what we want, thinking is one of the hard things because when we're in thought, we're not in action. And so knowing what we want to do, obviously we have to, everything that has been created, everything has been created twice, right? Once in thought and then once in material being. So we have to think about the things that we want, but then we can't spend too much time in that. I just heard somebody else say, I'm trying to think of who it was. I think it was Shailene Johnson. I don't know if you guys follow her, but I absolutely love her. Um, anyway, so she was saying that one of the things that she does when she's scrolling on the internet, she will never sit down anymore. She used to always, sit down and just be on your phone and scrolling. She now will only scroll on her phone if she's pacing, if she's walking around. So at least she's getting steps in. And then what that also does is because you're in action, now you're not feeling that sluggish, like feeling of just like going through the motions. And so now you'll get out of it a lot quicker. So if you're thinking about something and you're ruminating about it, usually we're doing that when we're just sitting, right? We're sitting in a chair, sitting on a couch, or sitting in bed, and we're thinking and thinking and thinking, but we're not moving. We're not doing a lot. So if you start thinking about something, go for a walk because you'll start thinking more creatively. And um, when you're out for a walk or when you're moving, your body, your chemistry, everything changes. And so your thoughts become better, and you don't go into that deep dive of what if, what if, what if, right? So that would be a tip that I'm going to start doing. And I can see it when I'm walking with my girlfriend in the morning. We'll be keeping a pretty good pace and we're just talking and whatever. But if one of us starts talking about something really important that we're like really trying to like work through in our brain, and so we're having that conversation, our pace slows down because it is really hard for our brain to be able to do those two things at once. It's been fascinating, and I got to tell her that because I haven't brought it up to her. I've been doing it kind of as an experiment. I've been watching it to see if it affects it, and every single time she talks about anything that's serious, our pace goes from going like this to all of a sudden just like slowly going. So, um, yes, so that would be another one of my tips is not only taking action in the thing that you need to do, but even if you're thinking, take action, take movement so then you can change that feeling. Okay. So, I do find that when I'm idle, which is not often these days, that's when I find to be the most vulnerable in my mind. Absolutely. Absolutely. I wish I could remember. I have a quote in my bedroom and it says, I'm going to look for it. When I'm back at my house, I'll take a picture of it and I will share it with you guys or I'll look it up on here. But it's something about that idle minds. Um, it's just a dangerous place to be. The task switching and not being able to be in doubt while taking action is so helpful. Thank you. You're welcome. And that was also Sam. Hey, Sam, I'm so glad that you're here. This is so good. So, yeah, there's so many little hacks that we know of, or maybe this is new, but for me anyway, there's so many hacks that we know of, but we just don't apply to our life. It's like there's so many examples. One of them for me is that I know for me, I am so much um, more focused and happier and just aligned when I start my day walking in nature. Um, when I go to bed between 10 and 11 o'clock at night, like there's these things that work well for me. And there's a lot of days that I just don't do it. That it's like, "Oh, it's okay. I'm gonna stay up later tonight," or, "Oh, it's okay. I'm just not gonna go for the walk tonight today." And then it totally affects my entire day, but I don't think about it in the moment. In the moment, I'm like, "It's okay. It's just one day. It's okay. It's just, it's just an hour past my bedtime. That's okay." It's fascinating how we have almost trained ourselves not to do the things that we need. And I think a lot of it is what I'm learning because I'm doing a lot of introspection and we're reading How to Be the Love You Seek, which is talking a lot about our how we were raised and things that we were going through when we were kids. And one of the things that I'm learning is a lot of it comes from, um, when you were young, if you were fed, like you had lunch at a certain time at school or you had dinner at a certain time at home, whether you were hungry or not, that was the time to eat. And so we were teaching our body not to listen to what our body needed, but instead listen to somebody else telling us what our body needed. Like you don't think about that as a child, you don't think about that as being detrimental. However, it is because it's teaching us to somebody else knows us better than us, right? So it's fascinating this book that for me anyway, um, that all of these little things are teaching us not to listen to ourselves and not to, but we have the answers. We know what we need. We just have to start acting into that. So let's look. I don't know why my mouse isn't working. Josh is here. Hello, Josh. Does it have to be about idle? Oh yes, idle hands and idle minds. Yes, that is what it is. Um, I can't remember what the exact I don't remember the exact quote, but it's something along those lines. Thank you. Ed says, I hope this makes sense. Sometimes it is best just to go for something instead of analyzing how to make something happen. Amen. Yes, yes, yes. That absolutely makes sense. I had a hard time learning how to swim until one of my brothers threw me in the deep end. I learned how to do the dog paddle basically for survival. Like this job I am going for right now, a job that requires relocation, being away from my only child for a few months, away from support for a job that I have never done before. However, I have been working towards. Amen. Yes, this decision that you are making or that you've made, now that you've made this decision, Ed, I am so beyond proud of you because you are making the decision because you know it's something that you want. And you know what? Who cares if it works out or if it doesn't work out? We never know how things are going to turn out. We just don't. I was talking to one of my girlfriends and I was like, listen, a year ago, I didn't even know you. And now you're one of my best friends. Like, we have no idea what our life is gonna look like in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 10 years. We have no clue. We like to pretend to have control over it, and we like to pretend that we know that this step is gonna put us in the right trajectory, right? Like, that we're gonna go on the right path. We just have to take that next right step that's right for us right now, as long as it's not going to hurt anybody, that you're not going to hurt yourself or hurt somebody else. But if it's something that you feel like it's the right thing, take action. Successful people take action. And then you're going to learn your mistakes along the way. But the more actions that we can take and the more steps we can take, the quicker we can readjust, right? Um, Ed also says, FYI, the Sioux is great to walk in nature. Plus, I could walk with you. That was meant as a bonus, not a threat. Yes, amazing, amazing, amazing. That is so good. Um, Yeah, and I love how everybody that's telling him about the Sioux, they're like, "Oh, it's gonna be cold, it's gonna be cold," and he's like, "I don't care. I'm gonna still go." Although he likes the cold. You like the cold, right, Ed? Um, so yeah, it's so interesting how people will give us advice and people will give us, like, things that like, what they think they should do, like, that we should do. Meanwhile, they're not taking that own their own advice for themselves, and we don't question that. We don't question the fact that people that are telling us to, stay small or to, don't do that because don't rock the boat or you don't know how that's going to turn out. That the majority of the people that are telling us that type of advice, they're not living their life of their dreams. So I, for one, only want to take advice from people. Okay, I'm going to say this in two different ways. One, I only really want to take advice from people that are living the life that they want, not necessarily the life that I want, but the life that they want. Because if they're living the life that they want, then they have learned how to get there. Right. And usually it's just trusting yourself, taking inspired action. Um, but also, I take people find it like they think that I'm not secure or confident because I listen to everybody's advice. But here's the thing, I don't take in everybody's advice. I want to listen to everything that everybody has to say to me. I'm open to it. I want to hear it. I'm curious about it, but I don't want to take it all in because for years I took everybody's advice in and it kept me stuck. It kept me like, "Oh my gosh, maybe this is the wrong choice. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this." But any time that anything good has happened in my life, it's been because I just was like, "Yeah, I'm going for it. I don't know how it's gonna work out, but I'm just gonna do it anyway." Um, and I've never really done anything that has been super scary. Some people might think it's scary because I, take chances. Um, But I don't take any kind of chances that are gonna hurt somebody else or hurt myself. The majority of the time when we're taking these chances, it's just gonna be uncomfortable, and I think it's okay. I think it's actually exciting to do things that are uncomfortable. Ed says, "I'm warm-blooded and well-insulated. Cold does not bother me." Yes, that it was funny. Ed came down. This is one of the things that I absolutely love. So we met, and really became friends through book club, and that was online. And now we are like, I love his son. I get to see them a couple times a year. It is so cool. And I questioned if I should start a book club. I questioned if I should start a podcast. I questioned everything that I've done. I've questioned and then I did it anyway. And it doesn't make me any better because I go through a lot of times that I'm like, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Um, but taking action, that's what life's all about. Um, I'll tell you, Saturday, let me just see. Okay, hold on a second. I'll get back to that. And if I don't get back to Saturday, somebody please write Saturday in the comments. Ed says many people's advice in there is their projection of fear. So, yes, we should take a good look at the source of the advice. Yes. And you know what? Like, I have people, well meaning people in my life that are wanting to protect me. Um, and I question that now because it's like, does it feel like it's bad for me, my mom is a perfect example. My mom, she is like the sweetest, kindest. She only wants the best for me. That's all that she wants. But she also wants to make sure that I'm safe. She always wants to make sure that I'm not going to be hurt, that I'm not going to do something that I'm going to regret. So she's always questioning like what I'm doing and is it right for me? And quite frankly, a lot of the things that I do, I don't know if they're right for me. It just feels right for right now, you know? Uh Ed says Saturday, Saturday. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Ed. Okay. So Saturday was a really, really hard day for me, really hard day for me. Um, I actually there's a lot of the day that I can't even remember. I'm realizing that I have taught myself somehow, I don't exactly know how I did it. It was more of a survival thing, I guess, growing up, that I when things were going on in my life that were uncomfortable or that I didn't understand, I I kind of shut down and I blocked that memory. And so Mike and I actually went on a walk on Sunday and he brought up Saturday. So Friday I went to a funeral for my uncle and it was really, really hard for me. Really, really hard. And it was really tough. And I thought, like I cried a lot, a lot, a lot. And I had been crying all week prior. Um and then Saturday, it came up a few times and I cried and then I thought I was okay. And then I wasn't. And I had a really hard time the more that I thought about, losing my uncle and then thinking about, losing my parents because that is going to be coming, hopefully not for another 20, 30 years, but that will inevitably come. And then thinking about my life and then thinking about like Sam was saying, just sitting idle, you get into this trap. And so I ended up spiraling and I can't even remember all of it, but I kept spiraling and I didn't do anything that day. I couldn't bring myself to do anything but cry and feel sorry for myself. And I needed it, I think. I needed it. What I don't do is I don't go back to those moments and figure out what was I feeling? Like I can feel it, but then I don't question like what was I feeling? What did I go through? I never do that. I erase that and okay, that was a bad day. I move on and then I get into work. And that has been my coping mechanism. And I didn't realize that really until recently. So then Sunday, I got right into it and I was like doing all the things and like I got up and I had a meeting and when Mike and I went for a walk, he's like, "Okay, so are we going to talk about yesterday?" And I was like, "What about yesterday? What happened yesterday?" I was like, "Oh, cuz I was sad." And he's like, "Oh my gosh. Okay." So then he's like, "I want you to think about what you said yesterday." And I had a hard time thinking about anything I said yesterday, like the day before on the Saturday. He made me stop, slow down, start thinking about it, and then question, why was I feeling that? And where did that come from? And so I think this going back to how I started the show with that introspection thing that Stephen Bartlett was talking about, I think that's going to be really powerful because for me, I don't do a lot of introspection. I've done a lot of quote unquote work, um, which I thought I was doing the hard work, the inner work, and I really wasn't. Just being completely honest. I have read a lot of the books. I have learned a lot of strategies, and the majority of the strategies that I have learned have been I've learned to push through to get to the next thing, to get to the next level, to life hack my way through life, and I have not taken the time to slow down and look at all of these feelings. Um, this is a total like sidebar, not what I was planning on talking about today. Um, but I think that it's something that's I'm going to be getting a therapist because there's a lot of things that I want to learn and that I want to talk through. I really want to talk through with Mike because he's a therapist, but he said that there's ethical things that he can't do that with me, which I totally get. Um, but I'm going to be getting a therapist, which I've never had a therapist before. And I am not against it. I think it's wonderful, but I thought I could do it on my own. And the fact of the matter is, I don't want to do it on my own because when I do it on my own, I do it um, surface level. I get just so deep. And then it's like, oh, that hurt. Okay, well, then I must have done the hard work. I must have done the deep work. I must have done the inner work because that hurt and that felt weird and that felt uncomfortable. But I'm not actually going deep and really going and learning about myself. I shouldn't say that. I've learned quite a bit about myself over the last 20 years of all of this self development and self growth. Um, but I can do it so much faster if I'm with somebody that's trained in it, and someone that I feel safe to talk to. So I just want to share that with you guys because you're in my living room and that's what's happening. So that's part of it. The book club has really, really helped me. Because we have conversations every single week about all of this kind of stuff. And now I'm just getting to the next level of needing to go deeper. Actually, it's not needing to go deeper. I could choose right now that life is fine and I don't need to go any deeper, but I want to. I want to be able to kind of catapult because I am stopping myself in a lot of things. You know, even with you guys, I have the community. Am I doing what I want to do with the community? No. No, there's so many things that I wanna do that I just don't feel worthy. I don't feel good enough. I don't feel like it's gonna add value to you guys. And so it's really, really interesting how we can sabotage ourselves even though we have these amazing things inside of us, these amazing gifts, but we sabotage ourselves. And if you're sabotaging yourself, if you're stopping yourself, I want you to question why. I really, really want you to question why. If it means questioning why with a therapist or with somebody really close to you, or whatever that means for you, I want you to question it because it's a lie. Whether it's a lie from your past, it's a lie from the devil, I don't care who it is, it's a lie from somebody because if it is in us to do, we're supposed to do it. I always say I was never supposed to be a doctor. Never has that come in and been like, I really want to help, you know, find a cure for something. Or, I mean, it would be cool, but I have no desire for that. So that's not what I'm meant to do. I'm not meant to be a doctor. I'm not meant to be a lawyer because I've never had that in me. But I am meant to help and I am meant to there's so many things on my heart and I need to start doing them and I'm the only one that's stopping myself. So like, holy moly. Okay, here we go. So Ed says, at this stage of my life, I would rather make a mistake because I jumped into something. This would lead to a great learning opportunity. That would be much better than living in regret, wondering if. Boom. Yes, yes, yes. I agree. I agree. The older I'm getting, I feel the exact same way. Kelly says, don't life hack your way through life. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. That I have done that for literally years. And I have shared that with so many people. Like the a perfect example is the two times the speed on stuff. I tell everybody, like, oh my gosh, listen to the book at two times the speed, listen to the YouTube thing at two times the speed. It's cool if you're just trying to like see if it's something that you want to listen to, but like you're missing nuance in life when you do that. And there are so many examples of me trying to take the fast track through life, and we miss the nuance of all of it, of the conversations, of the relationships, of the even just the books, of the learnings of all of it. And I've missed a big part of my life because I've tried to get to the fast track for it. Um, so anyway, interesting. Kelly says, "Do the work, girl. Proud of you." Thank you, woman. You are a big, big inspiration to me. Like truly, Kel. You too, Ed. Ed says, introspection is very messy work. It is the hardest thing I do when I can. What a gift Mike gave you. Mhm. it's another level of vulnerability and understanding of who we are. I'm proud of you for taking this step. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And you know what? It's interesting because we say that, and I think it's wonderful, and I appreciate that you're saying that I'm being vulnerable, um and I think it's wonderful when I see other people being vulnerable. Um I just wish that we would do more of it. Um it's one of those things that we were taught the opposite. We were taught to, like, you don't have to cry about this, like, just, and usually it's because people don't wanna see us hurt, right? People don't like seeing other people hurt, and so it's like, "Oh, brush that off, like, don't cry because I feel weird for crying." And so then you teach your kids not to cry, and then you hide the fact that you cry in front of your kids because you don't want your kids to, see you in pain, and this whole thing needs to change. Like, we just need to be open, and we just need to be ourselves, not even vulnerable, just ourselves. Like, it is vulnerable, I get it. And if you guys have never watched Brené Brown's TED Talk on vulnerability, like, watch it. It's gold. Um, but I want us to get to a point that we're just us, and that we don't have to think about it as being vulnerable, because then it has all of these labels around it. If you guys have listened to us in the podcast on First Day Pod, I've talked a lot about not labeling, and I don't like labeling. I feel like maybe today I've used labels around a lot of this stuff, but I really try not to label myself, because the moment that we label ourselves, the moment that we put ourselves, like, into a box or into a category, we start identifying with that. And when we identify with a feeling, or with a characteristic, or with whatever, when we identify with that, it is very hard to break that. And so if we identify with being, even if we're identifying with something that's good, um once we start identifying with it, it's hard to be the opposite of it. And I think that's what's beautiful about being human, is that we're able to have that duality all the time. That we can be somebody that is vulnerable, um, and we can be somebody that is able to, show up in a way that, like, we can get things done, but also be vulnerable. Like, we can have both of those things. We don't always have to be showing everything, and then we don't have to be hiding everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, we can have both of those things. I think balance and growing up, everybody said, the key to life is living a balanced life. And I hated the word balance. I was like, what? No way. I was all or nothing. That's the way that I lived all of my teenage years, my 20s, my 30s. It's only now that I'm realizing that balance isn't about doing things 50-50. Balance is like when you're on a bike, all that you're trying to do is you're trying to stay up. And so we're just trying to stay up. And so if we have to put more, like, we want to kind of keep everything, that if your work, and then you've got your social life, and you've got your family life, and you've got your spiritual life, you just kind of have to keep all of those going, but you don't have to be like 25% here, 25% here, 25% here, and 25% here, right? Like, that's not ever going to work. But we can be putting, maybe, like, for me, when we had the death in the family, I was putting more time into my family, because we had to spend more time, and work took a little bit of time off, because that wasn't what was important at that moment. I didn't just give up on work for the entire week. I didn't give up on my friends for the entire week, but I did put more time and energy into my family, and that kept that balanced. because everything was still up in the air and I was still able to kind of do it all. But you were doing more for the family at that time. And right now, I'm spending more time with Mike in my romantic relationship and spending more time on that while I'm also working and keeping my family and keeping my friends, like doing all of these things. But I'm spending more time with Mike because I'm here in front of him and being able to spend quality time with him. And so that to me is what balance is all about. It's about figuring out in this moment what needs my energy and what needs my time. Sometimes it's hard to figure that out, but it doesn't have to be equal parts all the time, you know? Okay, so let's see here. So Ed also says, people are strange. Some can't help to watch a train wreck, a car accident, etc. And the same people can't watch people get emotional. Yeah, yeah. That I think has a lot to do with us being desensitized. Um, a lot of the time too, when you see a train wreck or you see a car accident, you're a curious person. Um, I'm that way, but I have never, and I'm very lucky and I'm very happy. But when I've seen a car wreck, I'm always curious what's happened, what's going on. But I've never actually seen somebody really hurt or in distress. It's just been like there's ambulances or there's cars or there's whatever. And you dissociate, at least I do. I dissociate from that car that is like an accordion. I dissociate the fact that there was a human being in that car. You know what I mean? Where if you're in front of somebody and somebody's having an emotional reaction, that's a lot harder to take, um, for me anyway. If I knew that every time that I looked at a car wreck that I would see that person in distress, I probably would never look at a car wreck again, right? Because you're just for me, I'm curious, and that's why I'm looking at those things, but you're not actually seeing the impact of it usually. Um, so yeah, but that's a good example. It's interesting and people that can, play these video games that are all like super intense with war and all this kind of thing, but then they can't connect with people. Um, life is funny. Like you said, people are strange, but life is strange. So I think we just need to be spending more time on figuring out what we want and what's important to us, and then spending our time, our money, and our energy on those things that are important to us. They say that, like, at the end of our life, when we look back on our life, we're not going to really look at the things that, um, how much money did I make? How much time did I spend at work? Any of that kind of thing. We're going to be looking at the bonds that we've made, the relationships that we've had, the experiences that we've had. And so I think we need to spend more time in cultivating those things. Yes, we need to make money because food is not cheap, right? Like we need to make money so then we can have the experiences. But that too, I think, has been so skewed that we focus on making money and we focus on these things that we've been taught are important. And then we're negating ourselves. We're not spending time with ourselves. And then when we do, we feel selfish. But we need to. We need to spend time on ourselves so then we can be a better version of ourselves to show up for other people, you know? I'm a big pleaser. That's something that I'm working on. Um, Mike's been really good at helping me with that. Uh, it's not easy, but it's possible for us to change and for us to grow if we can see what we need to change and what we need to grow through. La 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 la. Ed also says, having worked in a hospital, I see the impact of the tragedy. It can change your perspective. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. I don't know, Ed, I don't know how you do what you do. Mike is a therapist. I don't know how he does what he does. But again, it's a calling that you guys have that I've never had, that I will never have. I know that it's not something that I'm able to do. Um, so I just thank you for everything that you do. And I thank all of you for doing what you do. And if you're doing something right now that really does not feed your soul, I'm not going to tell you to quit, because, we need to have that stability. We need to be able to have the money. But I highly recommend that you think about what you're spending your time and your energy on. Um, I think we all need to be spending more time figuring that out. And I have been rambling. My voice is actually starting to get sore, which is interesting. I usually at this time look at the clock to see what time it is, to see how long we've been talking. And usually we're at the like 38-minute mark. And then I start wrapping up, and then we do about 45 minutes. Guys, we are at 56 minutes of this show. So thank you for being here. Thank you for not leaving my living room and being here, as I needed this show probably more than any of you guys needed it this week. And I really thank you for being here, and thank you for being a part of it. Um, I want you to tune back next Wednesday. Um, I don't know what we'll talk about, but I know that it'll be a good conversation, and it'll either be something that you needed to hear, or it might just be something that I needed to hear this week. I'm really happy that you guys were here with me. Thank you. Thank you. Um, Ed says, I think what you do and that I know you. I'm really grateful I know you. So let's end there, you guys. I love you guys so much. Big hugs to you. Thank you for being here. If you're listening to this in the replay, go ahead and comment. And I'd love to hear what your thoughts were about this, anything that we talked about. Pretend that you're listening to it live and go ahead and comment. If you're listening to this in the audio version, every Wednesday on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. You can check us out Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central. And then I do other podcast episodes throughout the week sometimes. And we'll see how that goes. If you're not part of the Facebook group, come on over there. I'm really active over there. And that is it. I love you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye.